Hi, it's KSee, continuing this little mini-series on the Attack on Titan cast with an analysis of Armin, who is for some reason widely misunderstood, at least in my opinion. I really don't know why people think of him as a useless coward, cute at best, because the author seems to be indicating the exact opposite of that upon closer examination. When you think about it, he's actually kind of creepy. And contrary to popular opinion among critics, his narrative purpose is a lot more complex than just freaking out or being the smart guy. So when I'm trying to figure out why a character's in a story, I take a little bit of a thinking backwards approach. I look at how easy it would be to write him or her out of the story without arranging much about the world-building, plot, or other characters. But if you think about it, Armin makes too many vital decisions to easily write him out of the story. He inspires Eren's interest in the outside world before the story even starts and provides a voice of dissent among the complacent citizens of the Wall, makes many decisions throughout the show that drive the plot, and almost flawlessly serves as foil for multiple other characters such as Eren, Mikasa, and Jean, more on this in another video though, and introduces ideas vital to the overall thematic discussion of Attack on Titan. There's a lot more to having him there than to be the weak nerd. True, he may not seem like much constantly standing next to such obviously powerful characters as Eren and Mikasa, but in this video I'm going to make my case for why Armin is important to the show and is also the scariest character in the main cast. So in order to further this discussion, let's analyze his very dynamic character arc and personality and his transition from his role as the character of the theoretical to the character of absolutes. First, let's talk about his reliance on ideas in light of his alleged cowardice. A lot of people call Armin a coward because he shows his fear, but I think we tend to stick to a traditional definition of bravery too often. There are other types of bravery than physical prowess on a battlefield. Being afraid doesn't automatically make you a coward. By definition, a coward is someone who allows their fears to stop them from doing what they want to or have to do. Now, Armin is wimpy, there's no denying that, but from his first appearance, Armin proves he's not a coward. How many 10-year-olds stand up to bullies the way he does? It's much harder to stand up to people when you know they can hurt you than to speak out against people who are weaker than you. Even though Armin knows he has no chance to beat them, he stands by his heretic beliefs and has the guts to tell them that their beating him is only proving his point. He's brave enough that he's willing to be a martyr, to suffer for his beliefs. This idea is a huge theme in Attack on Titan. They're taking on opponents when they know it might be impossible to ever win, and just as Armin stands against his bullies for the sake of his ideas, the soldiers are fighting and dying for an idea. Armin doesn't relinquish his belief system for the sake of comfort, and that's one type of bravery. Okay, KSee, but what about him freaking out for so much of the show, most notably in Trost? That's cowardice, right? Well, yes and no. His temporary shock about finally facing the harsh realities of the Titans ultimately results from his relatively sheltered childhood and the previously theoretical nature of his beliefs. He truly believed that the walls would fall eventually, but he was shielded from seeing for himself the cruel world that Eren and Mikasa did. He saw the Titans, but he was on an escape boat quickly enough that he didn't see as much as they did. His parents were eaten by Titans, he knows, but he never saw it with his own eyes. He only understood the situation they were in on a theoretical level until Trost, and that's where he changes. After Trost, Armin is the character of absolutes. Unlike Mikasa, who believes the world is beautiful and cruel, and that this contradiction can exist, Armin decides that all the beautiful things he thought were there were an illusion. The world is either beautiful or cruel, but cannot be both. He comes to the conclusion that this world is the opposite of heaven, abiding by the obligingly simple rule that the strong prey upon the weak. In the same way that Eren's loss of innocence scene is when Carla is eaten, Armin's loss of innocence scene is Trost. The one time he really breaks into the pressure is when Eren is eaten in Trost, and that changes him. He is able to pull himself together and think on the spot after that to get them out of all kinds of problems. He never really fails in that regard again, and we see that with the canon scene and his handling of the female Titan and her identity. He comes to believe as the story goes on that achievement and sacrifice are connected, and that the ends truly justify the means, hence his words to Jean that someone who can't sacrifice anything can't change anything. Let's look at an example from the end of the show. Though he does lose his faith in the mercy of the world and trust, he still hangs on to the hope that he can trust and believe in the people who profess loyalty. He was in denial about the female Titan's identity for quite a while. But when it comes time to turn on her, it's not Armin who is unable to let go, but Eren. At the beginning of the show, anyone would have said it would have been the other way around, but Armin so fully believes in sacrificing for their goals that he is the one who is able to forget his friendship for the sake of a cause, while Eren, who is led by whatever emotions he feels in a moment, is the one who falters. In this way, Armin's character really adds to the literary merit of the story. It complicates the thematic significance of Eren's mantra of, if you win you live, if you lose you die, if you don't fight you can't win, by building on it. Armin's character presents the idea that you really can't win unless you sacrifice something else, and you may even have to sacrifice your humanity to begin fighting in the first place. So to summarize the video so far, Armin believes that the world is cruel, that freedom is worth any sacrifice, and that the ends absolutely justify whatever means necessary to get there. While he does become the character of absolutes, he doesn't necessarily lose sight of his romance with the theoretical. He's the only visionary among the main cast, other than perhaps Erwin. He fights Titans because of a larger goal that he sees, and lacks Eren's and Mikasa's personal reasons as well as Jean's moral responsibility. It's really interesting to see these characteristics in a good guy, because his ability to see the bigger picture, his courage in the face of suffering and death, and his belief that any sacrifice is worth it if you achieve your goal in the end, are usually traits seen in a villain. With a belief system like that and a clear goal, he's the character that will go the farthest to achieve his idea of the greater good, and that's scary. He's simultaneously a character of theory and a character of absolutes. The final reason Armin could potentially be a huge threat is his ability to understand people. He's extremely intelligent and willing to do whatever it takes, plus he's street smart too. Throughout the show, we see that he truly understands human emotion and motivation in a way none of the other characters do. One example is in the first episode, when he pinpoints the exact reason why the bullies are bothering him, and another example is that while Eren is simply angry at it, Armin understands the denial their neighbors choose to live in regarding the Titans. Though they live in a very cutthroat world where physical strength is very important, hence Armin struggles with self-worth, ultimately it is Armin who is most able to control and manipulate their situations through his words. For example, we see him talk Eren out of trouble with that mean Garrison in episode 2. He knows exactly the right words to say and explains to Eren why they're acting the way they are. We also see in the canon scene that they need to rely on Armin to talk them out of their predicament with Kits. In the court scene, he holds Mikasa back when she tries to stop Levi from beating Eren because he's aware of the political consequences, as well as asserted Korra's motives for beating him up. Armin is the one suitable to navigating the human world, which is not as simple but is perhaps just as brutal as the Titan world. Given where it seems like the anime is going, with all the political implications being touched on at the end, this skill is going to be vital to the survival of the main cast. So, though Armin is often written off as useless in terms of the plot and in terms of the themes of the story, he's actually vital to both. He might look cute and non-threatening compared to the other characters, but due to his visionary nature, his belief that the ends justify the means, his intelligence, his people skills, and the fact that the other characters actually listen to him, he is, in my opinion, the scariest person in the main cast. I'll make another video in the future about foils in Attack on Titan. I know I glossed over it a lot in this video, but in any case, I hope you enjoyed my take on Armin. Thanks for watching. Bye!